Mabuhay and welcome to this deep dive. I'm Lex, and with me is Vera. We're so thrilled to be connecting with you, our fellow aspiring real estate salespeople, agents, and realtors right here in the Philippines. Welcome, everyone. So today we're tackling a topic that's, well, absolutely crucial for success in our field. And it might actually surprise you just how much impact it has. We've been digging into some fantastic material from Julia Felton over at Business Horsepower.
Yeah, specifically her insights on the power of persistent sales follow-up.
Exactly. Now, many of you listening are probably out there every day, right? Making those initial contacts, having really promising conversations, for sure. But what happens next? That's the key question. And this deep dive is really designed to give you the knowledge to seriously boost your sales, especially in that mid-price to high-ticket real estate market that we focus on here at Excel Edge Realty, right? By really focusing on that critical next step, the follow-up. So our mission today, pretty clear. We want to unpack why consistent follow-up isn't just, good practice, it's the key. The absolute key to unlocking a huge chunk of the potential deals in our specific market. We've looked at the material, found some eye-opening stats, and maybe more importantly, actionable insights, things you can actually use. Starting now. Okay, let's dive right in then. How about a statistic that might make you pause a bit? Lay it on us. According to Julia Felton's research, a staggering 48%, nearly half of salespeople never follow up after that first initial contact. Wow. What was your immediate reaction when you saw that, honestly? Especially for real estate here in the Philippines, which is so relationship-driven, it's almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
Think about all that effort, the first meeting, building rapport, and then just silence. It feels like such a massive, massive missed opportunity just left on the table. And it gets even more interesting, doesn't it? The data also shows another 25%. They stop after just the second conversation.
And what's truly revealing about that, when you put those numbers together, is what it means for those of you listening who do follow up.
Yeah.
Just by making that second, that third contact, you're already way ahead of a huge chunk of the competition.
You really are.
So it begs the question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What exactly are those salespeople leaving behind? What are they missing out on?
A lot, apparently.
The data strongly suggests it's a substantial amount of potential business, a really significant amount.
And one of the reasons for this lack of follow-up, the material suggests it's this internal thought, oh, I bet I know this one. We've probably all had it. If they're really interested, they'll call me back.
Right. Yeah, they'll buy if they really want it. But the actual sales numbers, they tell a completely different story, totally different. Get this, only a tiny 2% of sales happen on that very first contact.
Just 2%.
Then it creeps up a bit. 3% on the second contact.
Yeah.
5% on the third. Still pretty small numbers. And just 10% on the fourth contact. So if you add that all up, it's a small fraction of deals closing early on. Exactly. Which leaves, what? A massive 80% of sales, 80, happening somewhere between the 5th and, believe it or not, the 12th contact.
The 12th. That's persistence.
It is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, think about all the effort, the resources, the time you put in to generating leads.
Especially in our competitive market.
These statistics really underscore that those initial efforts, they're often just the groundwork, just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
The real payoff, the return on that investment. It comes from that consistent nurturing, that follow-up over time. What really stands out to you about that huge jump in sales happening after the fourth contact?
For me, it just highlights that buying property, especially in the mid to high range we handle at Excel Edge, it's rarely an impulse buy. Definitely not. Here in the Philippines, people need time. They need to think, talk to family, weigh the options, and a consistent, helpful presence. That keeps you top of mind for when they are finally ready, when they're ready to make that big commitment. Now, the material also touches on those internal voices.
Yeah.
The things that hold us back. Yeah, the hesitation, like that feeling of, oh, I don't want to hassle them or I don't want to be a bother. How often does that little voice pop up? Constantly. I think it's just a natural reaction, right? You don't want to seem pushy. But Julia Felton tackles this head on, and it's such an important mindset shift.
Go on.
Often, consistent, helpful follow-up, it's actually welcomed. It's appreciated. Think about your clients. They're busy people, professionals, families. They're juggling so many priorities.
Life gets in the way.
Right.
Yeah.
So a timely, informative follow-up call or email, that might be exactly the reminder or the piece of info they need to move forward.
And this brings up a really vital distinction, doesn't it? The difference between hassling someone
Yeah.
and engaging in a helpful way. What separates those two in practice?
Good question.
Often, I think, it really boils down to the value you provide in each interaction. Are you just checking in, or are you offering something useful?
Like new information. Or answering a previous question.
Exactly. And also, crucially, have you established some kind of understanding? Have you got permission, essentially, to keep in touch?
Okay, that point about value and permission really resonates in today's market, especially somewhere busy like Metro Manila.
Oh, for sure. Prospects are just bombarded, listings everywhere online, ads popping up, different agents contacting them. It's exactly what the article calls it, information overwhelm.
It's a perfect description. Absolutely. So even if someone is genuinely interested in, say, a property we're showcasing through Excel Edge Realty,
Hmm.
it might honestly not be their absolute top priority at that exact second with everything else going on. Life happens. Other things take precedence temporarily.
Exactly. So consistent, thoughtful follow-up. That keeps you and your properties right there top of mind for when their priorities shift back.
And what's fascinating psychologically is how that follow-up acts like a signal cutting through all the noise.
Yeah, like a beacon.
Sort of. In that huge sea of information, your continued engagement, it demonstrates commitment, it shows you're serious, and it helps your message actually get noticed.
That makes sense.
And if we connect this back to the absolute foundation of real estate building trust,
Hmm.
well, consistent communication is a cornerstone of that. You can't build trust with silence. So true. And speaking of making communication more effective, here's a really practical tip from the material, something everyone listening can use. Okay, let's hear it. It strongly recommends getting explicit permission to follow up with prospects. Oh, okay. And maybe even agreeing on a general time frame for when you'll check back in. Oh, that's a game changer, isn't it, for our listeners?
It really can be.
Because it completely reframes the follow-up. It's not you potentially intruding anymore.
Right.
It becomes a pre-agreed check-in,
Yeah.
an expected conversation.
Yeah.
Exactly. It sets clear expectations from the get-go, and it must make those follow-up calls or emails so much easier, more natural.
And this prompts an important question for everyone listening right now. How are you currently handling expectations around follow-up with your potential clients?
Mm-hmm.
Are you being proactive?
Are you actually asking for that permission? Because the
Yeah.
benefit is twofold. First, it eases your own concerns about feeling pushy or annoying.
Definitely takes that pressure off. And second, it makes the prospect much more receptive to hearing from you again because they're actually anticipating it. They've agreed to it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now, to really bring this idea home, Julia Felton shares a personal story. Oh, I like this one. It's about her financial advisor, Nigel. Apparently, he consistently called her every single month for 10 months. 10 months, wow. She knew she needed his services, she wanted them, but she was just completely swamped with paperwork and, running her business.
Life getting in the way again.
Exactly. But because his follow-up wasn't annoying, it wasn't aggressive, she said she was actually glad he kept calling. She was grateful for the reminder. That anecdote, it really makes those statistics come alive, doesn't it?
It does.
It just perfectly shows that even when there's real, genuine interest, people often need those consistent, helpful nudges to finally cross the line and take action.
And what's so powerful about Nigel's approach in that story is how clearly it highlights the difference we were just talking about.
Between pestering and persistence.
Precisely. Between relentless nagging and consistent, value-driven follow-up. His method obviously worked for Julia over quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the key lesson we can pull from this real-world example about building that positive follow-up strategy?
Patience, maybe.
Patience is definitely part of it, but also that gentle, steady approach. And ultimately, it's about being there, ready and helpful, precisely when the client is ready to move forward. Not pushing your timeline, but matching theirs.
Okay, so wrapping this up, for all of you listening who are working so hard in the dynamic real estate market here in the Philippines, whether you're just starting out, you're an experienced agent, or a seasoned realtor, and especially those focusing on the mid-price to high-ticket properties, the kind we specialize in at Excel Edge Realty. The core message from all this, it's undeniably clear, isn't it?
Crystal clear.
Persistence, it is absolutely key. The vast majority of your sales, your successful deals, they're very likely going to happen after multiple, sometimes many, thoughtful, well-timed follow-ups. So don't get discouraged by that initial hesitation you might encounter or delays from prospects. It happens. Instead, try to see it as what it really is, An opportunity.
An opportunity to build a stronger relationship,
Exactly.
to cultivate that crucial element of trust, and to make sure that you are the agent they think of, the one they turn to when they're finally ready to make that big real estate decision. We really hope this deep dive into the power of persistent follow-up has given you some truly valuable insights and maybe some practical strategies you feel you can start using in your own real estate business with Excel Edge Realty, like right away. Always remember that powerful reminder from Julia Felton. The money truly is in the follow-up.
It really is. And to find out more about how Excel Edge Realty can support your success, specifically in the mid-price to high-ticket market here in the Philippines, and to explore the opportunities we currently have available, please do visit us online. The website is www.exceledge.com.piph. Thank you all so much for joining us for this deep dive.
Yes, thank you. And hey, before you go, if you found this useful, if you think it could help someone else in our real estate community, please take just a second to click that follow button and maybe share this with fellow aspiring agents or current professionals you know. You never know who you might help reach their goals. We're looking forward to connecting with you again on our next deep dive. Until then, keep building those connections, keep providing value, and always remember, persist.